Judging by the disappointing crowds outside Apple stores to pick up the iPhone 8 and iPhone 8 Plus, there isn't a whole lot of hype around Apple's latest phone. That's not because it's a bad phone, but because Apple superseded the iPhone 8 about 10 minutes after it was announced by showing off the OLED-toting, bezel-free iPhone X. The future of the smartphone, according to Apple, is coming, but that's not the iPhone 8 Plus. The iPhone 8 Plus is instead a steady, safe update. There are nice upgrades to the screen, camera and processor, although nothing to really make you say wow. It's an iPhone 7s Plus in all but name. iPhone 8 Plus price. The iPhone 8 Plus starts at £799/$799 for 64 GB and £949/$949 for 256 GB. That's cheaper than the iPhone X, which will start at £999/$999 when it ships in November, but it's a higher starting price than the iPhone 7 Plus, £719/$749, 32 GB. iPhone 8 Plus release date. Apple's latest Plus phablet is available now from various networks and the Apple Store. To get the best price, check out our iPhone 8 deals page. iPhone 8 Plus, design. The single biggest disappointment with the iPhone 8 Plus is its design. This is now the fourth time, iPhone 6, 6s, 7 and 8, that Apple has stuck with basically the same look for its phones, and considering it was easily the least attractive iPhone 3 years ago, it's certainly fallen behind the Android pack now. To be honest, the iPhone 8 Plus is comfortably my favorite iteration of the design, but that seems like faint praise at this stage. The aluminum back has been replaced with what Apple is calling the most durable glass ever, and it feels so much better for it. It's heavier, grippier, and doesn't feel likely that it's going to fly out of my hand every time I pick it up. Apple has always been masterful at fit and finish, and the way the glass slightly curves at the edges and blends into the familiar 7000 series aluminum rim is very impressive. It's still IP67 rated for water resistance too, something that's become even more popular in the phone market recently and was also seen on the iPhone 7. Apple remains the best at coloring its phones too, especially with the new gold hue. This could be one of the most controversial iPhone colors ever, but I like it a lot. It's a blend of the lighter rose gold and the harsher gold from the iPhone 7, but the addition of the glass gives it a creamy, almost retro 70s vibe that's hard to really get across in pictures. The dull silver option is here too, and space gray, which is slightly lighter than the jet black from last year. The biggest problem with the aging design of the iPhone 8 Plus is just the sheer size of it. The 5.5-inch display used here is small compared to the 6.3-inch screen of the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 and the 6-incher on the LG V30, but the phone itself is far larger than both of those in every dimension. It's cumbersome to hold, too wide and feels old-fashioned. It looks like a phone from 2014, and the huge bezel around the display doesn't help things. It's clear that Apple can design a stunning phone. Just look at the iPhone X, and I understand that the company will be pushing that as its future direction, but realistically the iPhone 8 Plus is still a £799 phone. That's more expensive than the Samsung Galaxy S8, and it needs to compete. iPhone 8 Plus, screen. The running theme of the iPhone 8 and iPhone 8 Plus is that they take the basics from the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, with all the individual components tweaked and tuned. Take the screen, for example. The iPhone 8 Plus has the same 1080p IPS LCD as last year's phone, capable of displaying the wide P3 color gamut. But it now has the same True Tone tech that Apple first debuted on the iPad Pro 9.7-inch. True Tone alters the color temperature of the display depending on your environment, reducing the harsh blue tones typical with an LCD when you're in a softly lit room. This sounds like a minor tweak, but it makes such a difference that only becomes obvious when you switch back to an iPhone 7. To get a real idea of how much True Tone alters the balance of the display, toggle it on and off in settings and shudder at just how blue the normal screen is. Related, what is HDR? As good as the True Tone implementation is, I'm annoyed Apple didn't go full OLED across the entire range. Instead, it's just the iPhone X that gets the better saturation and near-perfect blacks that come with an OLED panel. The iPhone X also has a much better contrast ratio, 1,1 versus 1,300 to 1, and offers true HDR, whereas the iPhone 8 Plus can play back HDR, high dynamic range, movies from iTunes, but they won't look quite so rich and colorful. iPhone 8 Plus Performance. Running the iPhone 8 and iPhone 8 Plus is the A11 Bionic, Apple's fastest and wackiest named processor yet. The A11 Bionic affects everything that happens inside this phone and it puts current Qualcomm Snapdragon chips to shame. There's also 3 GB RAM, and either 64 GB or 256 GB of storage available. This is a 6-core processor with 2 high-powered and 4 low-powered cores that churns through absolutely everything with ease. In benchmarks, it picked up a score of 10,262 in the multi-core Geekbench 4 test, which isn't far off double the scores achieved by flagship Android phones. Related, iPhone 8 versus iPhone 8 Plus. All this power, for the most part, seems almost too much. The iPhone 7 is still a fast phone, but the iPhone 8 Plus can use that power for loads of different things aside from making the interface smooth to flip through. It uses it for the portrait lighting effects in the camera and also for playing intensive AR games that have been developed with ARKit. Augmented reality overlays artificial elements on a view of the real world, and while it's sort of gimmicky, there's no doubt it requires serious oomph. Apple has updated the stereo speakers here too, making the iPhone 8 Plus one of the best-sounding phones out there. Bass is heavier, volume is louder and there's no distortion even when you're at full blast. This is the first iPhone I can happily listen to music on without connecting a Bluetooth speaker. iPhone 8 Plus Camera. I've only had the iPhone 8 Plus for a few days, so I'll save my full camera impressions for the final review, but I can say that the pictures captured by it so far have been excellent. The iPhone 8 Plus has dual 12-megapixel cameras on the back. Like on the iPhone 7 Plus, one of these is an optically stabilized f/1.8 wide-angle camera and the other is an f/2.8 telephoto camera that allows a 2x zoom without sacrificing quality. Apple says it's completely rebuilt the sensor, making it larger and faster, and there's a new ISP, image signal processor, for better textures and colors. What instantly struck me about pictures from the iPhone 8 Plus are just how they're different to those from older iPhones, and much more like images taken by the Google Pixel and Samsung Galaxy S8. Colors are far more vibrant and saturated, dynamic range is much better, and there's just a pop to images that was lacking before.